Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler, and this is my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. In fact, his YouTube channel hosts this podcast. Thanks, by the way, Chris, for doing all the YouTube work. I appreciate not doing the YouTube work. How are you doing this week?
I am doing good, doing great. Yeah. Right now I'm working on a video for the cartoon Infinity Train. Pretty much the 5 life lessons I take away from it. And whenever I start writing the script for videos like this, like I really enjoy it. Really takes me back to my essay days back in high school, and I forget how much I actually enjoyed writing. I don't consider myself a writer at all. I just like forming thoughts and opinions and putting it on paper and forming a narrative around it, and that's really interesting. So I'm really excited about this video coming out. It's another series in the meeting of media that I'm doing, which I guess I can just segue right into, into my latest
I
videos.
was trying to discreetly do that for you as a cue to this is great, keep
Uh,
talking. You're killing it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't trying to cut you off.
But
You by all means, keep going.
I have I have this on my YouTube channel, Objective Geek. I have this new-ish video series I'm calling the Meaning and Media, where I uncover the deeper meaning and where I uncover the deeper meaning in cartoons and comics and movies, and apply that meaning to our own lives. My most recent video is why Harper Row from the TV series Young Justice is the bravest person in that show, even though she's not a superhero at all. Has lots of how she deals with her child abuse and the ways that she works through that. So that video meant a lot to me. I got a lot of great feedback on it. Like the more videos I do to where I'm really invested in it, the less I worry about like the performance of it. The more I'm concerned with like how people are going to kind of ingest and interpret it. I think it was interpreted great. Got a lot of great feedback from the creators of the show, from the voice actresses who are involved in these scenes that I pulled. One of the voice actresses, both of them reached out. Zara, sorry, I forgot her name. Zara, who voices Harper Row, who does an amazing job. And then Danica McKiller, who is the voice of Miss Martian, who also was Winnie Cooper in the Wonder Years. So she retweeted it out.
Nice. More
Yeah,
quote unquote friends of the show, not this show, your show.
yeah.
We got to get more friends of this show. I watched, and I also watched your Kyoshi teaser, your Kyoshi perspectives video as well. I thought that was really good.
Yes. Yeah, we got some new news-ish. No, we got, this is definite
Yeah,
news
it's
on the
news. Yeah,
sequel.
it's as
Yeah.
big as news gets here, at least.
Yeah. Got some new information on the sequel to the novel, The Rise of Kyoshi. And we got a new synopsis, and I pretty much go over it in the video. And also, I use FCG's comments on Twitter to kind of make some predictions and what the story can actually be about. Oh, which that reminds me, maybe he's friend of the show. He also liked my Twitter post about it. So I don't think he watched that. I just think he likes that
I know, but
that
well,
people
that's
are talking about
that's
Rise of Kyoshi.
that's still really really meaningful. And you know what? He
It is
probably listened to all 150 minutes of the podcast too. He probably did. He
probably.
I imagine he searches his name in Google just to see what comes up, and ours was probably 300th on the list, and he made it down there somehow, I'm sure. But the yeah, I thought the Kyoshi thoughts were very. It's very exciting to me. Maybe not exactly what I expected, but it's pretty scattered details right now. I will say that we'll put the link to your video in the description and potentially up here in a card as well. Just go watch it. Good short video on the insights of what the next book
It
could
is
have.
pretty short. Yeah.
Yeah, in a good way. Sorry, that came out mean. He didn't do very much work on it, but just go watch it. No, it's a great video, great thoughts, and it's just very exciting. I don't read much, even comics and graphic novels, which this is kind of a segue. I just don't read a whole lot, but I haven't been this excited about a book coming out in a while, and I really wasn't even that excited about the Kyoshi novel. I mean, I was ish.
Yeah.
Like I knew I was gonna read it, but I didn't.
I didn't think you were gonna read it at first. Like when I was like wrapping up, getting done with it, I thought we were gonna have a podcast where I just kind of tell you the story, and you would
Eh,
just interpret it from there,
sit down,
secondhand.
Shawn. Let me read you this
And
story.
yeah,
I
it'll be
just
story time with Chris.
I just don't
Oh,
read a whole lot. I used to read a lot. I don't know if I just got burnt out. I used to read a ton actually, but I just don't read much anymore. So again, it's sort of it's a really nice nostalgic feeling to be excited about a book again. I probably haven't been excited for a book since I don't know, like book 7 of Harry Potter or something kind of cliche like that. But segue, I did read a graphic novel today, and it was by Janet Ivanovich, which, for any of the two listeners that know who that is, that's probably
I don't
funny
know.
that I'm reading Janet Ivanovich. She writes like sort of like detective-ish stories, and mostly they're novels, but the primary audience is usually like my wife, for example.
Mm,
And there's a graphic novel that I don't know if she had some kind of partnership with an artist and also with a relative of hers. I didn't read into it at all. And all I can say is that it's not like any other graphic novel I've ever read, and graphic novels outside the sphere of superheroes are not my thing. It was unusual, but I was proud of myself. I branched out, I tried something new, and it only took like a half an hour. So, way to go, Shawn. Way to try new things, broaden those horizons. So, yeah, like, that was a really
what
long
was this? What was
tangent.
this called? What was the graphic novel called?
Troublemaker by Janet
Oh,
Ivanovich.
I don't know. Okay,
Troublemaker.
yeah.
Again, if there's if there's a listener out there who knows who Janet Ivanovich is, they'll probably get a chuckle. They'll be like, Shawn's reading essentially like 30s and 40s chick novels, 20s to 40s chick novels. But I don't know, it's kind of crime, buddy cop ish, but not exactly. Anyway, I don't recommend it to you in particular. Maybe other people. Uh, there was also maybe a little bit of live action series news, potentially, doubtfully, I guess.
I think doubtfully, in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah. So recently at Netflix, the execs there were some shakeups. There was an exec, a lady by the name of I don't remember, and I apologize,
That's a
but
strange name.
she,
Where does
I know,
the
right?
first name
It's
end and the second name begin?
it's I don't.
I don't.
That's her first name.
Very unusual, but I respect it.
It's Dutch.
It's
I don't know.
You nailed it. It's
Yeah.
definitely Dutch.
Um, was, and it's at Netflix. She was kind of the head over the family development. And like she was over like all the cartoons and possibly other things.
Basically everything I
And
watch on Netflix.
yeah. And some fans are concerned with her departure because she was a producer on Avatar and she really shepherded in a lot of the shows that a lot of people love, like the Dragon Prince. And there was an interview with Aaron Ehas, and they asked him about the live action Avatar coming out, and he mentioned her by name. He was like, "Oh yeah, they'll be fine because they'll have Mike and Brian, and also they'll have this Izet, who's a producer on Avatar, also backing them up." And
Probably a
so that
conspiracy of some type.
yeah, so that's a little, maybe a little scary that she's no longer there. But I'm not concerned at all about the live action version of Avatar because I think Netflix now more than ever, with so many properties leaving Netflix going on to their own series, and Netflix needs to build their brand and build their assortment of shows even more, and they need their version of of like Game of Thrones, and that's what Avatar can be. And there's already a tapped market for that. And also, I don't think that they would drop Avatar because there's more things to it than that. Like they have a deal with Nickelodeon to do Avatar, and it's harder to break that deal than it would be to just drop a show that they have, like the Dragon Prince. I don't wish the Dragon Prince to be dropped. I love the Dragon Prince, but and also if the Dragon Prince does get dropped, I mean, and I hope it doesn't. It's an amazing show. I wouldn't see that as any indicator or bad indicator for the future of Avatar live action because that would probably have way more to do with ratings and that's Netflix's decision. Like that's their property. They can do. They don't have to worry about consulting a second party about it or a third party about it.
I know we have mixed opinions on the Dragon Prince in our inner circle, but it happens to be on our in our little circle. But it happens to be maybe it probably could if it ends and gets written and gets the attention it deserves. I don't have much issue seeing that it could be in my top 2 or 3 favorite shows of all time, so I hope it doesn't get canceled. When it comes to the live action series, I would say the only concern I have, and it's like the 1% concern, is I think it's going to be really expensive to make. I think it's going to be a very expensive show, and it's going to have to put out good hype and good ratings, I think. But I think it will. I mean, it's Avatar. I think there's a good enough following for that. I don't know anything about budgets when it comes to production. I should throw that out there. Just little snippets, reading here and there. It's a very big production and a very pricey one. So, that always makes me nervous, but hopefully it turns into a good thing. So no news is good news in this case, really. Sorry, exec.
Yes, yeah.
You exect over a lot of things that I personally enjoy and watch. I don't know how much decision impact you had in those, but good luck. I don't like to see people get fired.
I'm sure she'll be all right. She's richer than I am. So that sounds cruel.
I mean, yeah, she's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other not news. Do you have any more almost news? Any other videos? I put out a couple videos, but they're all related to video games, so they're probably not really interesting to this audience. And they're almost exclusively catered to this Facebook group that I spend way too much time interacting in. That's it. Hey, well, with that, that's okay, because we actually have a pretty, I guess it could be a fairly long episode, because it is actually covering 2 episodes of the show. They were aired together. I did go Google.
Yes, they were.
Because I didn't recognize the name The Fury of Aang. And so I went and Googled, and so they were aired together. We treated them, and I think this is a good thing to do, is that we still treated them as separate episodes, as I think they just need to be. Just purely opinion, it's not a single story arc. It is 2 separate. Yeah. If not, you could even argue like their next 4 episodes we're going to cover is kind of one story arc in a way. 4, I might even be 4, 6.
Yeah, it's really interesting because at the time that they were airing, like it was kind of weird to me, but we're in a good way. Like they kind of kept airing these like Avatar mini events. Like, all right, here's the Fury of Aang, and then here's them doing this, and it was all like 2 episodes at a time.
Went a couple weeks in a row of like 1-hour specials, sort of.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and we'll treat them separately in terms of ratings. Obviously, that's extremely important to know the details of the ratings. But we're going to cover them together. They do go together very nicely. Hey, that's it. It's called The Fury of Aang, but that's not the name of the episodes. That's the name of the special, so to speak. The first episode is called The Library. And
The library.
And as you might remember, Aang has now gotten a hand on some earthbending skills. They've been working, I believe the quote, I'm going to mess it up, been working his arrow off, and we essentially start the episode off by arguing about whether or not they should be taking vacations or getting back to work. And the compromise is that they're going to take vacations and then get back to work. So basically, Sokka loses. Yes. But that's kind of the kickoff of the episode. It lands us in this, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a resort kind of thing, and it's not quite what they expect. But I think it's supposed to be a resort. And I'll let you take it from there.
On their map, it's like like a very luxurious water fountain resort-ish type place. And Katara decides to take her vacation there because it's her turn. I think Aang already went on vacations. Aang's probably went on several different vacations with the penguin sledding and the koi fish riding, all that stuff.
I think the killer koi is what they reference specifically, but I might be messing that up.
Yeah. So Katara decides to go there, and 100 years ago it was a great place, but now that fountain's kind of dried up. This is the Misty Palm Oasis, which does come back in Legend of Korra, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, it does?
And
I did not recall that. That's fun.
It's interesting. And and they get there and they meet the professor from Ba Sing Se, and pretty much he's headed to the spirit library, and they pretty much go on that journey with him, like, because also Sokka really doesn't want to go on a lot of vacations because he wants to plan and prepare and everything. And he decides, I just love this, that it's pretty much a meme. Like, I'm going to spend my vacation at the library. For some reason, I just always love that.
I'm not going to be able to
And
not think
then,
about that every time I walk in a library from here on out.
one of my most like favorite adult jokes, as in like adults would get it, but kids won't understand it at all, is when Toph is like, "Hey, when do I get to choose where we go for vacation?" And Sokka says, "You gotta acquire a little bit more vacation time before you choose vacation."
I actually thought
Like,
you were going to reference the one later about why she didn't want to go in the library. I was like, nah, Chris, kids get that. You're crazy.
yeah. The thing is, like, I think I started my first job around this time because this probably premiered. When did it premiere? It must have been 2006 that
Six
this
or
was
seven,
on.
probably. Six. I'm going to say
Yeah,
six. Yeah.
or late 2005. Either way, I started a job, my first job in McDonald's, and like I completely understood what Toph was going through. Like, I don't have vacation time either. Like, if I felt that on a whole another level.
My hardest part of adulting right now in terms of like work vacation time is that I have PTO, which seems like a blessing because I never get sick, but I'm also really paranoid. And so every time I'm like taking a vacation, like, what if I get sick? And then I just make myself sick thinking about it, basically. So, hey, I know PTO sounds great, but if you're anxious about life already, probably PTO is not right for you. Go the traditional vacation hours route. Gets me every time. I hear you, Toph. I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
then
think
they
the thing with the
oh, you go
professor
ahead.
though is the thing with the professor. I think he's been looking for a while, right? Like he's got like a
Yes.
crazy map all drawn up and stuff,
Yeah.
and then essentially
And this
that's
desert that he needs to go through is impassable.
kind of like the only it's like the trigger that gets Sokka to go along is like, hey, it's this library full of like infinite amount of knowledge. There's got to be something in there, and that gets him
Mhm.
all amped up because he's being a sourpuss to this point in the episode.
Yeah. And so they do get there to the library. He rides on Appa, and he does make many remarks on how Appa and Aang is a living relic. And yeah, and they get to the library pretty much, and they meet Wan Ching Tong, he who knows a thousand things, which isn't a literal thing. Like some people take it really literally, but it's just a euphemism, just essentially.
It's it's a turn of phrase. Calm down, people.
Yeah, it's like I know a thousand things.
Like I know at least 100. Like that's not that big
Yeah.
a deal. It's figure speech. And yeah, I love him because he's a giant spooky owl. He's kind of creepy, honestly. Got like a deep,
It
scary
is, yeah.
voice. Good
Yeah, and
librarian
then
type.
which is there's a cool callback to this episode, callback to Admiral Zhao, because he says like, yeah, you can use the library, but as long as what you're doing is just for the sheer purposes of learning. And that's kind of noble enough. And of course, because he says like, oh well, people most of the time just want to use my library to get a upper hand on their enemies, the same way that Fire Nation general did, and just kind of, I think it maybe glimpses to Zhao just a little bit. And you're like, oh, that's how Zhao stumbled upon how to kill the moon and the ocean spirit.
And then when he says that though about the knowledge, and they all kind of freeze up, I'm like, Aang's a really good guy. Is he going to be a good liar? I doubt it. But they bail out okay.
No, Aang's good at lying, and
Yeah.
this is like this is also one of the times that Aang uses the Avatar card, and it won't be the last. But
Comes with perks,
I kind
man.
of
It's a
love
tough
that.
job.
It's
He's
kind
been
of a
working
really
his arrow
slight
off. Chris,
running
cut him
joke.
some slack.
That's true. So pretty much, this episode they kind of just walk around the library for a while until Sokka stumbles upon. They do notice that the Fire Nation section of the library is all burnt up because the Fire Nation didn't want anyone finding out any information about them, which that's just so freaking Fire Nation. And Sokka's pissed about it.
Also, kind of telling that they
But
like have their own section. Like it's almost like having your own
yeah,
personal file, like in the drawer. You don't want to have your own section library. That's never good. Like,
yeah.
but
And
they were.
then and Sokka, go ahead.
I
I'm
was just gonna
talking
say
a lot.
they
That's
were
why.
like no, they were just like weirdly shocked when they saw it. I was like, that's not shocking. He already
Yeah,
like let you know they were here, and they're also a-holes. Of course, they burnt the
yeah.
library up, but
Yeah. And then Sokka stumbles upon just this paper that says like the darkest day in Fire Nation history, and and then he goes to this like really cool like planetarium type deal, to where you can just like change the dates and the sun and the moon moves at a certain point. So he changed that date to that date, and he notices that like, oh, well, the sun is gone. That's because the sun is behind the moon, and it is a solar eclipse. And he's like, oh yeah, this is the, I don't know exactly what happens, but this is the darkest day in Fire Nation history. Like they lose their bending. All right, I've mentioned to you before that I was really mad at myself because once I finished my Rise of Kyoshi predictions, and then I watched this episode, I then came up with another prediction, which I think would be kind of cool. So there's light spoilers for Rise of Kyoshi here, but I don't really need to talk about spoilers too much. But certain character
Anybody that
name,
listens to the podcast, I was really proud of the book podcast. So I kind of hope they just listen to the whole thing anyways. Selfish, but
nah. Just in case there's a minor person out there. Anyway, there's a firebender girl named Ranji, and she's around, and and we were kind of trying to think about like, all right, how can, I wonder if she could ever become the Fire Lord. Like she's not in the Fire Nation royal family. She is a noble though, and so she must be on some type of line of succession there. So like, what if? So we know this is the darkest day in the Fire Nation history. Now that can't just be that there was a solar eclipse, because to me that's not like the darkest day in the Fire Nation history.
Like what
So
triggered something bad happening on the solar eclipse that made it the darkest day in Fire history?
I mean, and Sokka's like words were something bad happens. I don't know what it was, but something bad happened. And so maybe that's also. Oh, anyway, let me get to the prediction here. So I think that there was like some huge coup that happened, and like someone knew that all the firebenders were gonna lose their powers, and they just straight up murder like the whole entire royal family, leaving behind Ranji being the Fire Lord eventually. And of course, the Fire Nation realized that, so then they went in and wanted to make sure that no one knew about this, and so they destroyed the whole spirit library part of their nation because they don't want this to ever happen again.
Oh, I assumed that was Zhao recently. Actually, that's kind of funny.
That could also been it.
I like what you said
That
better
wasn't a
because
bigger
it's
part
more
of my prediction.
interesting. But I just assumed that like Zhao was like torch the place, just being Zhao.
Yeah.
Admiral,
so that
Colonel, Lieutenant, whatever the hell he is now.
Yeah. Either way, but the main prediction there is that the whole Fire Nation royal family is killed to a point to where Ranji is left the only heir to being the Fire Lord. And there's some really good fan art by Keikachi that you can find on Instagram, Keikachi95, I think. I might be thinking of somebody else, which I'm sorry if I am. But like the way she draws, or she, I'm sorry. The way they draw Ranji, it reminds me a lot of Azula. Like, what if Ranji is the great whatever grandmother of all of these?
I don't know, man. Now you're pulling headcanon out of fan art from Instagram. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
I like where that goes, though. Sorry, I interrupted you that time.
No, I was just saying that's not the basis of it, but I just love the way that that's drawn.
I like where that goes. Well, I like critically where that goes because we sort of predicted. I don't want to say like a split from Ranji and Kyoshi in terms of like being like enemies, but that would give good reason to have like a political split. Like now, Ranji's truly forced to be the leader of the Fire Nation and have their best interest at heart, and Kyoshi's still the Avatar. So I like how that creates like the political split that we kind of predicted. And, I don't know, it's just a really nice theory. Not that Ranji caused it, but maybe being away was what saved it. And maybe even her and Kyoshi going back and having some impact in whatever it was. But I don't know, I kind of dig it. I'm not saying I think it'll be true because there's so many, like it's a wide open world of things that could happen, but it's kind of awesome. I hope it's true.
I'm not like, oh, this is 50% confirmed. I'm more like, there's a off chance that maybe this would happen.
It feels good because it fits some of the things that we already talked about earlier. So that makes us feel, or at least makes me feel kind of validated in some of our predictions. So yeah, I dig it.
Yeah.
Again, not that I want Ranji and Kyoshi to split up anyway, because they're like one of my favorite couples in all of this universe. But politically, it does it to people. Nation first, whatever.
True.
I hadn't made that connection, but it makes sense.
Yeah, so then
that the darkest day in history isn't just a literal, like, hey, it got real dark this day and we couldn't use fire no more. Like, there's got to be more to it than that. Whether it's our prediction or not, or your prediction, I'm not going to take credit for that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened. I do. Wait. One of the spirit foxes that's roaming around the library, the little hall monitors, he overhears Sokka getting excited. Like, I don't remember what he says, but something about, like, this is exactly what we need to beat the Fire Nation. And that furry little narc runs off to the creepy owl spirit.
Did he? I don't think he ratted on him. I didn't get that.
I thought that's what got the spirit mad. I thought the little fox ran off and narked, and then
he was kind of helping
mad.
him a little bit, I think.
Or the spirit's just all-knowing and...
I think he just figured it out.
Well, he's not all-knowing. He only knows 1,000 things.
True.
He's very limited, actually, in what he knows. He's the finitely knowing spirit.
Yes.
I love him. I think he's a great character, but it's a little weird, but I like him a lot.
I absolutely love his voice. I didn't see who the voice actor was, but
we should have looked.
It's the...
If you talk, I'll look it up real quick, just because I am kind of curious.
Right. I'm going to guess that it's the guy from the Anne Hathaway movie, The Princess Diaries, which is actually like The Princess Diaries.
No, it's a good movie. I don't like the second. I like the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually do thoroughly enjoy it. Surprisingly, I don't have it on DVD or anything. I might have to add that to the list, but I'll probably only watch it once.
I really like Anne Hathaway in general too. So
I like Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, it might be more about that than the actual movie to me.
Yeah, but I think it's the butler, or not the butler, the like chauffeur guy.
It is. He
just sounds like
he got it. He was in one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender and one episode of The Legend of Korra.
Oh yeah, okay. He played Wan Ching Tong again.
Yeah. I just kind of forgot about.
At first I was like, who did he voice in Legend of Korra? It was
himself.
The same character.
No, the owl again. He also, this is kind of interesting if you don't mind. I mean, he's been in a lot of things, but he's been in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited on TV. Scooby-Doo, for me, I'll throw myself one in there. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh, there's a new Scooby-Doo show coming out that's supposed to be pretty good. Like, it has a lot of guest appearance on it, like Steve Urkel and Wonder Woman. But I think it's on Boomerang, so I'll never get around to watching it.
I have a lot of Scooby-Doo. I'm very divisive. He's a favorite character of mine. There's some series and universes that I absolutely love and some that I hate. But historically, it's been very early on when I've been able to tell. So hopefully I'll get a chance to watch an episode or two and see what I think. And I got to throw one more out before we move on, because you'll really appreciate this one. He is a voice credit in Batman: The Rise of Sin Tzu, which is a video game, I think, for PS2 and GameCube.
Yes, which I still have not beat yet. Although it looks really good. Like, the cutscenes are really good for PS2 and GameCube.
There's either 2 or 3. There's Vengeance and Sensu, and maybe even one more that are all kind of fit.
Never mind.
That all kind of fit in the same. I think they're directly connected to the animated series. Like, I think they're in that animated series universe, which is pretty cool for video games to be doing that, especially in what is it, probably 2003 or something.
Yeah,
that's cool. Anyway, I'm done throwing out facts about Hector. I forgot to look at his name. I just saw it's Hector something.
It's the guy from Princess Diaries.
Great voice. That's probably what he wants to be recognized as.
It is a really great voice. Like, it's really good.
If you take nothing away from this episode, go watch Princess Diaries, because it's okay. It's probably better than okay.
Not okay. I'll say good.
I enjoy it. I won't pretend to critically review it. I enjoy it. Inside the library, he gets really mad.
Yes, he does.
The butler.
And Yeah, the butler gets mad. I don't the bodyguard. He's more of a bodyguard, right?
Kinda. Maybe both. He's
Yeah,
a
he's
personal.
not like a butler because he's not like Alfred serving up stuff. He's the bodyguard. He's definitely the bodyguard. Bodyguard slash chauffeur.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
better word for it. He's a professional chaperone.
yes. Okay. So he gets really mad, and a pretty interesting like chase ensues. And the best part that I love about it is when the Katara is about to fight him,
Soccer
and
style.
he's like, yeah, he's like, I've studied Northern Water Tribe fighting style, Southern fighting style, even Foggy Swamp fighting
Fucking swamp
style,
fighting
and
style.
yeah,
I almost lost it when he said
then
that.
yeah, I just love how like I love the teamwork aspect of it because like Aang is gliding and Sokka comes from the top of him and just like hits him overhead with a book, which is just so ironic that knowledge hit the knowledge person, but like literal.
There's a lot
And
of
yeah,
deep there's a lot of deep meaning to that. Yeah,
he's just like that's Sokka style. Learn it.
it's a very
And
Sokka
then
thing. We didn't, I
yeah,
referenced the joke earlier on the way in the library when they asked Toph why she's not coming. I referenced it, but I never actually said it, and I like it. And they're just like,
yeah,
"You coming?" And she looks, quote unquote, looks at them, and they're like, "Oh yeah."
yeah.
Or she said,
There was a
she
lot of
says
great.
something. She's like, I'm not a fan of reading or something like that. But
Yeah,
there's a lot of quips in these, not these
yeah,
two, just this episode.
yes, yeah. And there's no quips in the nets. Well,
There's just a lot of
no
stoner
quips.
stuff
There's a lot
happening
of
in the
yeah,
next episode.
yeah. I did love that that soft joke of like they're all just looking for the library, and it feels like it's been like hours just in the desert. And she goes, "Look, there it is," and then and they're all like, "Where?" It's just like, that's what you guys will sound like when you find it." And then she goes,
uh,
"That's probably one of my
Earthbenders.
favorite.
It's not
That's
fair
probably one of my
because
favorite soft jokes."
we only like see Toph and Boomy in terms of getting like up close and personal with airbenders in this series. It seems unfair that they get to be like two of the three funniest people that we meet.
Yeah.
Earthbenders overrepresented by comedians.
Uh, that's just like one of the best blind jokes.
That's
I
what you guys
laugh
will
about
sound
it
like when
out
you see it.
loud. Yeah. It's like they're blind guys. But anyway,
Oh, it's great.
so yeah, so they escape out of the library. They escape watching Tong because he's so mad at them that he takes his library back to the spirit world, which I don't know the semantics of it, but he takes it back.
Professor with it. Professor just he refuses to go. He's like,
Yeah,
nah. Which you kind of
yeah.
wonder, if it stays intact. Hopefully, he's just alive and he just like he's a pure guy. He's just in there for knowledge and he gets to read happily ever after.
I'm pretty sure he shows back up in Legend of Korra,
Does he? God, we got to get back around to that. I can't remember anything from Korra.
but he is a skeleton.
Ah, well, it's a long
So
time.
yeah, so Janora, Aang's granddaughter, visits the spirit library, and then like she's really smart. She's really loves books. She's like, "Oh, I could live here forever." And then Wan Shi Tong says, "The last person who said that is right there," and it it pans. It's this guy. It's like just a skeleton with holding a book, and
Died
it
doing
wasn't
what he
played as a
loved.
yeah, it wasn't played as a joke. It
No,
was
well, and it wasn't even a threat, really. Like, he's just saying, like, hey, it can be done. Like, you can live
yeah,
here forever. It's fine. Well, not forever for me, just forever for you.
yeah.
So,
Like
not a
you will
quip
die
or a
here.
threat or anything. It's there. Knock yourself out, kid. But we need you later,
Yeah,
Janora, so maybe don't do that yet.
yeah, that's true. But they escape out, and during the same time, there was some foreshadowing to the Sandbenders, really minor foreshadowing, which I think was well done. Because before they leave to the library, the professor goes outside and he sees some Sandbenders just like looking at Appa. He's like, "Shoot, Sandbender, shoot!" Like that was it,
They get treated like the sand people in Star Wars. You just scare them off.
pretty much. Yeah.
Also
And
worth
then we also
noting
know
that
that.
it's worth noting that Toph has been sitting outside, kind of having like a heart to heart with Appa, which
Yeah.
nothing really spectacular happens, but it's kind of touching because you always get the feeling that Toph prefers her feet on solid ground, which also alluded to here. So her and Appa may not be best pals, but it's kind of touching.
And also her being on the sand, because it's like just individual sand things she can't see as well. It's like just kind of mush. And so that is very vital, because the sandbenders come and they want to steal Appa, and the spirit library is dropping. She is holding it up by herself, just being a freaking BA that Toph is. And also she's trying to fight all the sandbenders with sand that she can't see, and she has to make a choice. It is an impossible choice, but it's a fairly easy choice to make. It's like, do I let all my friends get killed, or
it
do
is
I?
An easy choice to make, but not a easy one to actually execute.
Yeah. And she does. There's a great moment of her just saying, "I'm sorry, Appa," and she cries. Like, that's a fantastic moment.
You can hear Appa like
course,
whining like a big basset hound too, and it's a really sad sound. It hits you in the feels a little bit.
Yeah.
As the sandbenders are stealing those monsters, you're stealing somebody's dog basically, except for he's way more useful and necessary to them not dying in a desert. How would you do that, you bastards? Sorry.
I don't know.
Monsters. This episode gets me worked up.
And then they get out the library, and Aang is like, "Where's Appa?" And it just ends with him crying, just like a tear. Just shedding a tear, and that's the end of the episode.
It is. You want to get to your ratings?
Yeah, let's hop into it. So it seems like I really love this episode, but once we get to these ratings, it seems the opposite of it.
I was gonna say, what part of this did you seem to love? I'm personally, let me just say ahead of time, I am personally attacked by your ratings of this episode.
Good.
Just exactly as you play it.
I like having differing opinions about things.
It's more fun that way usually.
Audiovisual gets a 7. There just wasn't that much. Although Watching's library was like really cool to look at, but there wasn't all that much. So it gets a 7. Story, I think this has like huge ramifications for things happening in the future. Like, all right, now we can plan out an invasion on the Fire Nation. All right, Appa was stolen, but when it comes to the story within this episode, it just wasn't that great to me. So it gets a 7.5 out of 10. For the memorable, I could honestly always I do love certain things about this episode, but it's one that I can just watch in the background. I do absolutely love the Toph joke. That's probably the most memorable thing for me out of it, and also the Sokka stuff. But other than that, it's not.
A few winner quips in there for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's it's not all that memorable for me. So it's a 7 out of 10. That brings my weighted average score to a 7.3 out of 10.
So audiovisual, I get it. There's not a whole lot going on. I really like the visuals of the library and just the presence of the spirit too. They make a great show of him being a big, intimidating being just for being an owl, that sort of thing. Not a lot of good music or anything going on here, though. I agree. A little dull, but I gave it an 8. Story, I really like the standalone of this story. Maybe, as you mentioned, the progression within the episode from beginning to end might not be that interesting. Does have bigger ramifications, but I do like that it has a little of everything. Like, there's some very hard feels, some touching moments, some clever things, some funny things. It's very well balanced. And those types of things, if you've kept up with the podcast at all, those just that type of spread tends to appeal to me a lot. I'm a sucker for that. And I go back to just comedy and feels, and I usually don't even like stuff with feels, which explains my episode feelings on the next one. And then memorable, 9, just all the above. I can always remember this episode. I can always remember where it falls. I can't ever remember the spirit's name or the professor's name or the little things like that, but pretty much beginning to end, it's just one of those episodes that sticks. I like the planetarium is really cool. That's a cool thing that pops in my head all the time. The jokes, the Sokka style. So just it's one that sticks in my brain. That brings it out to 8.5. So we're pretty varying differences there. 7.9, which I can see it being a divisive episode out in the rest of the world too. It's probably not just here. I imagine it's divisive in general. But there you have it. Interesting episode to say the least. And that brings us to you last saw Aang outside shedding a tear. again, they aired these together, so I don't even know if they like play the credits or anything in between there. I have no idea how that worked, but
I
I
don't think
imagine they
did.
roll into it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, so we pick up and Aang is like pretty pissed very quickly, which he should be. Like the thing is, I don't Aang is really uncomfortable here. We never seen Aang this mad before.
But he's so
And
mad at Toph. Like, do you not understand that she just did like the coolest thing that she's ever done to save your lives, you ungrateful little monster? I hate that he's
to
so
me
mad at Toph. He's being such a child. I mean, he is a
to me
child. Whatever. That's fine.
I'm fine. To me I'm fine with it because you're not rational at that point, right? You're just trying to formulate thoughts around what happened. You're trying to put blame on something at this point. He's just angry, right? That's one of those
Somebody go
things.
hug Toph, though. Come on. She did a great job. Did anybody once, like, hey, thanks for not letting us get sucked into the spirit world with a giant angry owl? Like, come on. I don't know. Cut her some slack. But
I don't think I did.
it is a very dramatic, stark start to the episode because he is all sorts of pissed off.
Yeah, this reminds me of like Aang's behavior towards Toph reminds me of children at foster camp. Like sometimes they're being quotation marks terrible or they're acting out and everything. But like what we always try to say to ourselves is like they're not giving you a hard time, right? They're not trying to give you specifically you a hard time. They're just having a hard time and they can't function like that. So that's how I see it.
I
So I'm
forget that
completely
Aang is a
fine with.
child sometimes. Like, I'm watching through the scope of it like a 29-year-old human, and in my mind, Aang is a grown. It's like, no, Aang's a kid. So I still get it. I just feel really bad for Toph because she held up a
Yeah,
library
yeah,
sinking in a pit of
yes,
sand.
yeah.
It's
And
alright.
I do love that Katara calls him out on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I love this is probably my favorite Katara episodes because it just shows
It
just how
is.
freaking strong-willed Katara is. Like everybody else is just completely useless for several different reasons. Aang cannot be consoled at this moment. Toph can't see anything, and um, Sokka, Sokka starts tripping balls on some cactus juice.
Him and Momo get straight up hard into some cactus juice, and then, like
Yeah,
we mentioned earlier, there's no quips in this episode. There's just lots of like stonery moments from Sokka and Momo. Yeah.
yeah,
Example one of a handful in this episode of Katara being the anchor. I think is what you always call it, like the earthly tether for the whole group, not just for Aang.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I like how Sokka just like slices the drink. It's like, oh, it's really good. You should take it. No, I think it's fine. And then just immediately his pupils like dilate, and and then like, but Momo takes it. Momo does this thing where he like flies in a circle and then drops straight down to the ground.
Is that where he knocks Katara's water out of her hands too, or is that a separate
No,
stoner
no.
moment later on?
Later at night, Toph is asking if if she can have some water. Katara bends it out, and then Momo jumps on it, and then Sokka goes, "Momo, you've killed us all," or something like that.
Something pretty
And
dramatic.
and Katara is just like, "Calm down, Sokka," and she just takes water out of the sand. He's like, "Oh, water bending," and and then yeah, just there's just some great, absolute, some amazing comedy from Sokka in this episode. And then
I
yeah,
call it like more of an unintentional. Like there's Sokka trying to be funny, which is sometimes funny and sometimes is painful, and then this is more of an earnest, candid slapstick comedy from Sokka,
yeah,
but he's the right character for it.
yeah. And Aang continues to be pissed about things. He swings up to go get some water from a cloud, and he comes back. Katara looks, he's like, "Oh, it's not that much water," and he's like, "What are you doing, huh? I'm sorry, it's a desert cloud. It doesn't have that much water." He like gets mad at everybody. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And Katara's like, "I'm trying to get us out of here." Like her just resolve and her just the way she can't be broken is just it's why this is probably one of my favorite Katara episodes there is. And I think I enjoy this Katara more than the one and the water bending master, and that's a great Katara moment.
It's not as exciting a guitar moment, but it might be more of
No,
it
no,
might
it's
be
not.
a more important type of guitar
Yeah.
to
All
what do you
right.
call it, to the structure of the group, I guess.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, last episode there was no Zuko at all. Um, in this episode, they first get attacked by the Rough Rhinos. They make another appearance, and Iroh does make a remark on how like they're a good band and they're all specialists and stuff, and they're old friends and everything. And then Zuko's apparently like, "Do you have any old friends who don't want to kill us?" He's like, "Huh, old friends who don't want to kill us." And they eventually go to this shop. I don't know. I guess it's just a drink place.
It's the
And
no,
it plays.
it's the same Oasis place, the same resort
You
kind
are
of.
right.
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct. Yes, because that's what brings the Royal Rumble guy and the Earthbending teacher there, is because they're searching for Toph. They ask him about it, and then Zuko and Iroh just happen to be there. And Iroh plays the White Lotus person, and I love this moment because it's just all just secret stuff. Like you can tell these are secret words that they're giving to each other. Like, oh, who knocks at the door? He who is whatever and whatever. I don't
I
remember
can't
exactly
remember
what
it
it
all, but
was.
it sounds pretty intuitive.
Yeah. He who have eaten the berry of life and drinking its fruit, something like that. And drinking its knowledge. I don't know. But eventually they concoct a plan to to get them to Ba Sing Se, because there they can just go there as refugees, and what is just two more refugees out of everybody, and that's their plan. And so, and and Iroh says to him like, "Yeah, it's the safest place. Like even I couldn't," which is a weird statement. Like even I couldn't penetrate and
Well,
break through the wall.
he's like self-reflection. He's learned to live with it.
Yeah.
Is this the first mention? So first of all, he plays the White Lotus Pie Show tile, which we've heard the tile reference before. Like early on, he says something to Zuko about, the few people still stick to playing this tile even though it seems not very useful or something like that. But is this the first reference to the White Lotus as a group in the
Pretty sure it
universe?
is. Yeah.
And he plays it, and that's what kind of starts the conversation. And that's pretty cool. Like that's a nice, I don't know, it's a fun throwback.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so then they pretty much sneak them out because the two guys who were chasing Toph decided, oh, we can take the Fire Lord's son and uncle and get that money instead. And the guy who's working with Iroh, who's in the White Lotus, pretty much tells everybody they're wanted and they have bounties on their head, and everyone in that place is trying to get that bounty. So and they
He
all pretty much
essentially
attack.
starts a Royal Rumble as a distraction, kind of.
Yeah. Yep. And in that chaos, Iroh and the Zuko escape away. So that's pretty much the end of their story when it comes to
There's
this
not a ton,
to
but
this
it's like
episode.
it's a
There's
nice
not a
break
ton.
because we didn't see him at all last time, and it's a big step in their next, I don't know, in the next part of their journey.
Yeah.
Big crossroads.
Yep. And then on the flip side of this, on the I would say the A plot, they do find a sand boat, and they follow the compass to pretty much the center of the desert, and they get attacked by all these buzzard wasps. And one buzzard wasp takes Momo, and Aang is like pissed. He's like, I'm not losing anybody else. Like this is the absolute most pissed Aang you'll see. He chases the wasp down on his glider. He airbends. He gets the thing is kind of funny. Like the wasp is he has Momo, and Aang like bends him, and like it's kind of this the sense that Momo's gonna fall like to his death, and Aang has to catch him, and Momo just like flies back up to Aang.
Like, no, I got this.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
That
But
I
this is
just want
where
to
like
note that was a professional reenactment. Kids, don't try that at home.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
very well done. I do. I think as we're talking about now, I realize I'm just feeling sympathy for Toph because I like her so much, and I'm feeling bad for her, so I'm paying too much attention to her. But I did think it was nice that like they land. It's on a mountain where they find these buzzard wasps. But it's like solid earth, and she's really excited. She's like, "Oh, finally get my feet." And I think she lays down
She
and
does
makes
she does
like a
a
dirt angel
snow
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, not funny or not clever necessarily, but I thought that was funny. I felt really good for Toph. She needed to have a good day, and it turns out it's a giant
Yeah.
wasp nest, not really a dry land. Oops.
Yeah. But quickly going back to that wasp who took Momo. So Aang, once Aang got Momo, he struck the wasp down for no reason at all. Like he was so mad about it. Like even Momo like walks away from him, like scared. And so like I'll call out Aang for lying sometimes. It's like when he talks to the when he, in future episodes when he talks to Avatar Yang Chen, he tells her like, "Oh, like I'm an air nomad. Like we only use violence when necessary." I'm like, Aang,
You little
and he's never
snot.
heard. Yeah, like Aang, you just swatted the crap out of that fly. Like I'm sure you killed it. Like it doesn't have a life anymore. You at least damage its wings once a fly can't freaking fly. Like it's not gonna live as far as long as it did.
You remember that
Uh,
baseball clip where Aunt Randy Johnson threw that pitch and demolished that bird? That's
yes.
kind of what I thought of when I saw this, and then I had to go YouTube it because I find excuses to watch that clip all the time. But that's the first thing I thought of was just Randy Johnson, that buzzard wasp.
Yeah, so that was definitely not the airbending thing to do. But eventually, so they get surrounded by all of these sandbenders, and no, I'm sorry. Well, they do. They get surrounded by all these buzzard wasps, and then the sandbenders come up, and which is a tactful way to get rid of the buzzard wasps, is that they just sandbend them kind of down. And then Aang lands, and this is one of my probably top five moments in Avatar. Like just this whole interaction here. Aang Katara pretty much says like, "Oh, we've lost our bison," and then the kid who is clearly suspicious is like, "You dare
Like shaking
accuse
in his
us of
boots.
stealing a bison when you have a tribesman's uh, sand boat?" And his dad, who is fairly respectful, like really respectful actually, he's like,
Yeah.
"No one accused us of anything. If what they say is true, we must show them hospitality." And then he's like, "All right, you're right."
He's
And
like,
Toph is like,
people living in a harsh environment, you gotta, I don't know,
"Yeah."
don't be
Look,
jerks. I do.
and
That
then
kid, like
Toph
I
is
said,
like,
that kid's like quaking in his
"Oh, good."
boots. Maybe he just saw Aang gun down that bird. He don't want no
Yeah.
part of that.
And then we learned that Toph has like really, really good hearing, which I don't think it was like that matter of fact. But she's like, "I never forget a voice," and she's like, "That's him. That's the guy who took Appa." And Aang goes off. Aang is like, "Where is he? Where's my bison? Where is he? Where's Appa?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then I feel like Toph is just egging him on.
Doing
Like,
what she does best, really,
yeah, I mean,
pissing people off.
she's not like egging him on and hyping him up because she likes seeing Aang angry. Like Toph is also angry. Like Toph took some of this blame, right? Like she's holding
Took a
some of
lot of this
that.
blame. What's the word? She's like provoking a little bit.
She is,
I forget the
yeah,
guy's name. The bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
yeah.
He's
I don't know. I mean,
misguided young lad.
he's a bad guy.
He's
He
kind of a
steals
bad guy in
things.
this episode. He creates a series of episodes that I don't like. It's all
Yeah,
his fault.
yeah.
Sorry, spoiler.
So as the conversation goes on, Toph is like, "You said to put a muzzle on him," and jeez, you would have thought that he shot Appa in the leg. Aang is like, "You muzzled Appa," and then just Avatar state. Like the crazy thing about this is the Avatar state is a defense mechanism designed to protect the Avatar. Like Aang feels so hurt by this and angry by it that he triggers the Avatar state. And I absolutely just love his delivery other than that line of just tell me where Appa is. It is like I've never seen anything more threatening than that in the Avatar series. Like you have the voice of thousands, not thousands, really more like 150 people. Um, of 150 people who is the most powerful person in the world threatening your life. Like I think if it wasn't he goes off, he goes in Avatar state, destroys all of their ships. He's just creating this big ball of wind. And like I think if it wasn't for Katara, like Aang maybe killed some people. Like he has no control over it. It's just all rage. He has no control over the Avatar state. It's Katara that has control over the Avatar state, and she just reaches out. Like, and I just visually love this look of Katara. Like, she's not afraid of Aang. She's not. She doesn't run away from him when he's angry like this. Like she's looking up at him with such like sympathetic eyes. Like, I know what you're feeling. Like, just come here. Let me hold you. And she holds him, and like just this look of like the most powerful person in the universe, like in the world. And there's this tear coming at his most powerful. There's a tear coming down his face, like he's at his most weakest state right now. All right, I'm done.
Sorry, no, I just.
Going off about that thing.
Sorry, I had to wipe a little tear out of my eye here. It's getting me hard. Take that, Zuko shippers.
Exactly.
Just
Oh,
kidding.
one time Katara put her hands on Zuko's almost face and healed him.
Sorry, Jamie. We're so sorry. You know what? I should point out. Just
The whole fire and ice thing, guys. Come on.
I'm-
I'm kidding. All right, I sound rude now. Not bad. I'm
uh,
kidding. I support people shipping things.
we
just as
support
long as
all
they're
we support all creative theories surrounding the shows, and have many disagreements of our own. I disagree with most ships that didn't occur explicitly in the show because I don't know how to read between the lines. But Jamie, this is just for you. I in my nerd cave, pops are a huge thing. Chris is very well aware. I used to have two pops, and I can't find one of them, and I feel really bad. So the only pop I have in my whole cave, I know I talk a lot of smack on Zuko, but is this Zuko pop from Chris. And that's the only pop bobblehead I have. The other one's Harry Potter. It was from Roberto and Carmen, and I don't know where it is. I'm assuming it's in a box that we haven't unpacked in the movie yet. Sorry, guys. But I just thought she'd appreciate knowing that as much as I tease Zuko and Zutara in general, only pop represented. The only action figure from the Avatar series in any way, shape, or form, actually, in this whole Nerdvana down here. I say Nerdvana, there's a white wall behind me. It's long story short, it is a really, really beautiful moment that, I'm going to give away my feelings on the episode, and I don't want to do it yet, but it's a really beautiful moment to cap off a journey that may not seem like it has all the build-up that I would have wanted. But it's a great moment in Avatar. One of my top 3 or 4 Avatar state moments, for sure.
Yeah.
That's. I think I don't know if it cuts away to another shot of Zuko or Iroh, if that's where it ends. I know there's some back and forth.
It just ends with Aang crying, just shedding that tear.
It just stepping back just a half step. You mentioned he kills people, and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter because he can't control it. So it's almost like it's about the same as killing somebody if he could have killed somebody, right? Sort of the same idea in a spiritual sense. But Sokka pretty much thinks that he's going to kill somebody. Like, Sokka is telling these sandbenders who are guilty, or at least one of them is, he's just straight up like, run. Like, he grabs them, they all run. I think he grabs Toph by the arm or something like that. But like, it gives off a really genuine sense of fear in a way that makes what Katara is doing feel that much stronger and braver. Like, it's not just a quick thing. There's a lot of scary build up, and they do a really good job of translating that.
Yep.
You ready to go to ratings?
Let's go. All right. So for audio visual, given an 8.5. I don't think there was that much stuff at the beginning of the episode, but when Aang goes into Avatar state, it's just beautiful and amazing, and so much storytelling is just done without anyone saying a freaking word, and just like a whole minute span, or feels like a minute span.
It does, yeah. It feels like a chunk.
And the music, I think, is beautifully done in this episode, especially in this moment, which I feel like I should have gave this a 9. But audio, I think visually wise, it more to there. But musically wise, it probably gets a 10 for me. If I was, 8.5 on audio visual, really, really good stuff. For story, also gets an 8.5. I think this is just one of the best Katara episodes, and just really shows why she is really important. Just shows her strength to a whole nother level. That at the end of the day, she doesn't lose hope like like other people can do. Like Aang does lose hope for a good. He doesn't receive the hope back until maybe 1 or 2 episodes from now.
It's at least 2 episodes because it's another two-parter, and I couldn't remember earlier, but it's at least 2 episodes out. Bare
Yeah,
minimum. Could be more. I don't really remember.
I think it's 2 because anyway, we'll get to that. Yeah, so I think the story was really good, especially for Katara, and I just love what the aftermath of the previous episode and just how everyone is just dealing with the loss of Appa. So it gets 8.5 out of 10 there. For the memorable, a 9 out of 10, mostly because of that scene with Aang, and just that Avatar state is one of my favorite moments in all of Avatar. And then of course the Sokka cactus juice stuff is just comedy gold. So I might be going light on this episode. But anyway, comes out that was a 9 out of 10. Comes out to a weighted average of 8.6 out of 10.
How many times throughout the series does Soppa end up tripping balls on frogs or sicknesses or cactuses? I mean, I can only count 2 off the top of my head between the sick and the cactus right now, but I feel like what an appropriate character to have.
Yeah.
To have get drugged up in the middle of your episodes for comedy.
Yeah. And one thing that we don't really talk about here is really like tone, which I guess it could probably tie into story, but this is probably one of the best balances of tone in any episode I think I've seen. Like, they have really great comedic moments in this episode, and they have some really emotional, touching, dark moments in this episode as well. And they just balance that tone so freaking well, like a freaking tightrope.
I do. I think you're right. I think we inadvertently, whether we mean to or not, try to tie that into story when we're just talking about. I mean, we say story, but it's more about the. I guess the whole audio visual is everything we can see and hear, and story is like everything else. So I kind of lumps into there. That's so funny to me though, because I would say that about the last episode, and when I talk about balance and things.
No,
it's like,
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But no, it's just funny how the perceptions differ. And I mean, let's just get into it because it's pretty visible. Audiovisual, again, I don't disagree with anything you said at all. It's just the literal amount of weight that like is given for me. It's like that first essentially 80% of the episode where I'm just looking at sand and listening to angsty whining. Hey, angsty. I've probably made that joke before. I'm actually really sorry. And so there's nothing for me until the very end, and it is a really big payoff. But at no point in the episode, I don't know. There's like no build up. It's just nothing, and then at the end, it's very great, audio visually at least. But guess what? I feel the same about the story. It's very dramatic. There are a lot of feelings, and it does, as you mentioned, it goes back and forth. There's touching, there's anger, there's comedy. Like, it's not just one emotion that rides the whole time. It's crazy. Not really my style of episode when it's all the feels all hitting at once. I just don't cope with that very well. The previous episode had the right amount of feels for me, where it was impactful. It was very important. It was impactful. There was genuine sadness there from Toph, from Appa, from Aang. This episode's packed with it. I can't handle it, and it just a lot of it. 80% of the episode is like right here, and then at the end it skyrockets. And then memorable, the only part there again, I can't tell you most of what happens in the episode up until getting finding the sandbit. I couldn't even remember the buzzard wasps. Like, when I saw them, I was like, isn't this a Futurama and also the book series Del Toro Quest? But I just like everything. Every time I watch this episode, I couldn't remember if this was even the episode that I was thinking of. Like, is this the one where they find the sandbenders, or is there some stuff in between there? It just doesn't stand out to me. So I don't disagree with anything you said. It's kind of just a matter of how we perceive and take in and weigh that, the payoff at the end versus the rest of what you have to go through. This is not my favorite. 7.2. Funny story though. Comes out the exact same. But you will be happy to know that because of the way things weight, this episode lands higher on our list than the previous one. just the way that weights work out. Again, it makes it sound like I have a lot against this episode. I think it's very important. Obviously a very good touching moment there at the end. It's just the rest of it isn't always worth it to me. But that's all, It probably
well, you know what?
staunchest
You can be
difference.
wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. I don't think we've ever been off by 1.3 points. We might have been more off in this last episode because what was I? 8.5. You were 7.2. Yeah, so I think you're 7.2. I think we're off 1.3 on each of them.
We've had similar things in a few other episodes where we've done 2 episode chunks and we'll kind of flip flop. There was one where the whatever air temple they were in, and then the episode after
Pirates
that.
episode.
The Pirates episode, and so it seems like it happens a lot, and it just it kind of boils down to preferences. And as always, I kind of you have a much better grasp of the big picture of things and what you want to fall where and what things mean to you in a bigger picture sense. And I'm much more surface level, what's happening exactly in that scope of 20 minutes and how that hits me in the feelings right at that time. I just don't have as big, broad, and good of a critical perception as you do, and that's okay. I'm not gonna.
The difference I think is that you have a wrong opinion and I have a right opinion.
I tried to say that, but I was trying to be nicer about it, man.
No. I'm kidding.
We don't kid here. Everything.
This podcast is over.
Everything is. Even if you could you could definitively be like, no, Shawn, you're actually just wrong. And I would be like, okay, and that's fine. And then we would just be the first podcast where somebody on the podcast was just wrong. Nobody else would put up with that, but I'm like, that's fine. It's a TV show. That's fine. I'm going to watch the TV show anyway. I just as well keep talking about it.
If anyone knows, I very much value your opinion, no matter how much I disagree about it.
I would say
I love conversation.
I probably represent the 10 to 15-year-old age group of kids. Though no, I'll go step up. I probably represent the 8 to 12-year-olds watching this TV show, and you represent everybody else in opinion. Just at a guess. There's probably some very perceptive 8 to 12-year-olds out there. I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult you by putting you on my level. That's not very nice. But hey,
the thing is, when I sent you my rating, you're like, oh, this is interesting. I always get excited whenever I like different opinions on stuff. Even though I don't mind us having the same opinion about something, it just creates good conversation.
This is the starkest difference I could find. I tried to look back and I tried to remember what episodes we did in pairs like this, and this was like the most strong flip flop that we have had in any episodes, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, sometimes I'll rate episodes a certain way, and I probably internally like them higher than I actually rated them, or vice versa. This one, I'm totally okay with it, and it's totally important and great. I will let you know when I don't like an episode, and then I still try to remove that and put a decent rating on it if it deserves it. This is the case. It just critically doesn't hold up as well in my brain as it does when I'm actually watching it, or at least when I get to the end of it. When you realize that the payoff is worthwhile. It doesn't help that this is not my favorite stretch of episodes. These Sans Appa episodes, not my favorite, but they're important.
They are. Yeah.
Next week, speaking of episodes, I think we'll probably do 2 weeks from now, probably a similar setup where they do go together. As you mentioned earlier, they were aired in a pair. I don't know if there's any more after that. There might have been even one more set after that. I'm not positive.
I'm pretty sure, because the drill? Oh, wait.
Let me...
Oh, I forget. I think the next one is the Serpent's Pass. And then I think the drill is after that. So it must be the Fire Nation's Secret. I think that's what the series
Serpent's Pass when Jet comes back?
Yeah.
Oh...
I think it is.
What a terrible string of episodes.
Because that's the next thing that Zuko and Iroh does. They come in contact with Jet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I kind of forgot about that little... Yeah, maybe I'll like that more this time just because I have a better guess. I've got the episode list pulled up if you're willing to wait a moment. Serpent's Pass.
Keep talking.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so these are called Secret of the Fire Nation. The pair of them is called that. It's the Serpent's Pass and the Drill.
And the Drill. Yep.
And then there is back to sort of regular
Yeah,
episodes.
because I forget
City of
what
Walls
one
and
that.
Secrets is after that one.
Yeah, and then
And
probably the Earth King. No, no, the Earth King is after Lake
I think
Lao
it's just
God.
called The Tales of Ba Sing Se. I just scrolled past it.
Yeah,
The Tales of
Cities
Ba
of
Sing
Walls,
Se.
City of Walls and Secrets. Then Tales of Ba Sing Se. Then Appa's Lost Days.
Man, your memory is solid. Yeah, you're good. So
Then
this
Lake
whole
Lao
stretch
Guy.
up to that point is is not my
Then the Earth
favorite.
King. Then Crossroads of Destiny.
Yeah. No, the Guru after that. Then Crossroads of
Ah, dang
Destiny.
it, the
And
Guru. Ah, forget the Guru.
when we get to the Guru and the Crossroads of Destiny, at one of those points there's I already forget which ones. At some point in there we're gonna have our favorite guest back on to talk, our favorite Zuko expert. I forget which one she wanted to come talk about though. I want to say the
Yeah,
City
I
of Walls and
forgot.
Secrets. I think she wanted to talk about that, but I don't remember. Oh well, we'll have a guest
Yeah.
at some point. Probably not the next time. The next time we do have just a twofer with the Serpent's Pass and the drill, and those go together in the same format that these two went together for whatever Nickelodeon's reasoning was. I have no idea, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
In the meantime, thanks for coming and hanging out. Always fun to discuss episodes with you. That's really all I got to say. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a pleasure as always.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if anyone, I feel like we don't do this enough. I don't know. If anyone have any questions or just want to comment on stuff, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or email. I am the objective geek
Uh,
at gmail.com.
I'm just Shawn Shaler. If you can spell my name, you can find me. Good luck. The
Yeah.
It's funny. You have the
And
easiest name in the world to spell, and you're like, nah, I gotta change it. I should be the one with an easier name on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. Hey, there's no. I can't answer questions, but I would like to think that we exemplify being okay and interested in differing opinions. So come throw out your wildest ships, and we'll run it through our ship expert and see how it pans out, or all of your crazy theories on which episodes you like and don't like. Or tell us who burned down the Fire Nation section of the library. Little things like that interest me the most. I just assume it. Like I saw them burn down, and then they like alluded to Zhao. I'm like, oh well, Zhao did it, duh. And then I just don't ever think of it again. So then when you
No, I
say that,
didn't
my
either.
mind's
So.
like, you're definitely wrong, even though there's no grounds for that whatsoever. My mind just already it made a decision and it's over. Hey, we'd love to hear that stuff from you. It's probably actually super meaningful if you do Twitter because we can both see it very easily, or on the comment on the video on Chris's channel. Those are probably the two places we monitor the best. So give us a holler. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Chris, thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you in approximately 2 weeks. It'll be great.